Hello, everyone. I want to welcome you all to another great episode of Royal Black and Elite. And I want to thank you. You see, today I celebrate my 1 year anniversary when I really started posting in earnest. And you all have been right there by my side, liking, sharing, subscribing, you all commenting. Thank you. I cannot express my appreciation enough. So I thought I'd come out with a banger for you. I know you all recognize these two. This is Wheezy and George Jefferson. So if you were around in the 70s, early 70s, put a like down below. If you have been, their show aired from 1975 to 1985, and it was called The Jeffersons. Now, these two really was the first one who really gave us a look inside really black wealth, and because he was an owner of a dry cleaner. But did you know there was a man named Thomas Jennings who the dry cleaning method who he patented way back in the 1800s. And I thought this would be a great lecture for us to have today. Now, Sherman Hensley, who played George, he passed away in 2012. And Wheezy, who played, her name was Louise, but we called her Wheezy. She passed in 2004. Her name was Isabel Stanford. So I definitely want to close that up. Now, Mr. Jennings, he was born in New York City in 1791 as a free black man. Now, I know that this was well before the abolition of slavery. However, in New York, the slave market actually closed in 1762. So, as a result, those people who lived there weren't considered quote unquote slaves, even though they didn't officially end it until July the 4th, 1827. So, despite all of this, he was able to live there as a free man no matter what was going on around him in the country. Now, from a young age, and we don't know a lot about his childhood, but what we do know is that by his teenage years, he was working as an apprentice tailor. Now, as a tailor, he did very, very well. He made a lot of money, and he was able to attract some of the most wealthy people in the area. So the elite came to him, the wealthy blacks and the wealthy whoever. It didn't matter the color of their skin. He was a great tailor. Now, as Jennings grew into a successful tailor, he faced a few frustrations. The biggest being that when the people would bring him their fine fabrics like wools and silks and satins, the traditional washer, it actually ruined them. And the water, it would cause them to shrink, fade, and even get damaged. So this is what led him to say, now, what can we do in order to address this problem? Now, by now, Jennings was also married. He married a lady named Elizabeth, and they had three children, two girls and one son. And so here's their home, but she passed in 1873, and there is no indication that he ever was remarried. So he was in essence a single father. I think the story is so interesting because in the spite of him being alone and losing his wife, I'm sure he was heartbroken. He was still able to build a very successful business and leave an enormous legacy to his children. So that's why it's important for us to keep these stories alive. Many of us see things like the Jeffersons or know about the Jeffersons or even go into a dry cleaners and don't know that the method they're using was because of a black man's patent way back in the 1800s. So I just thought that's so important to tell these stories. And I really, again, want to thank you for listening. Y'all, put your comments down below. Had you ever heard of him? Do y'all still take your clothes to the dry cleaners? My husband, he wants the crease in his pants to almost where his pants can walk by itself. Anybody know about that? Am I dating myself? You all. So let's finish up Mr. Jennings' stories. So in 1821, Jennings applied for and he received his U.S. patent for his dry scouring process. This made him the first African American to receive a patent in the U.S. The reason is because it wasn't because there was a shortage of inventors. Down below, I have a lot of them. Definitely click down below so that you can learn about some more of them. But during that period, if you were born as a slave and all that took is your mother to be legally a slave in the government's eyes, then you were not able to own any legal patents. So, because he was not a slave, that's the reason he was able to own the legal patent. So, I'm really, it's just sad to see what our people had to go through, but it's also inspiring at the same time. There is no excuse for these kids not to be able to do whatever they want to do today. Because look at these people, they're, well, generations before us who overcame this and owned a patent. And this man was a millionaire as well. So at the time, this was groundbreaking, of course, for a black man to own a patent and to be making money from it. And make money he did. It brought him wealth and recognition. His tailor shop in New York City, it thrived. It served all of the city's most elite customers. But Jennings was not only just a money grubbing type of person. We think, we thank goodness he had capitalism to be able to make his money, but he also gave back as well. So he was very instrumental in the abolitionist movement. He became an active member in an organization called the Abyssinian Baptist Church. And actually, 100 years or so before Rosa Parks, his daughter Elizabeth was the first one who refused to leave a segregated New York streetcar. And because of this, they got into it, and she sued the city of New York, and she won. Her victory forced New York City's public transit system to begin desegregating. So he not only was an abolitionist, not only a wealthy man and used his business to help black people, but he taught his own children how to fight for themselves as well. So we really commend Mr. Jennings. I thought his story was so interesting. Now, Thomas lived through some really tough times, a lot of changes in America, but unfortunately, even though he invested, he had his tailor business, he gave to educational causes and abolition, he passed away at only 65 years old. It was in 1856. He passed before the Civil War, so he never got to see or live free. So I did want to at least mention his name, teach on him so that we could know what an important role he played in our modern day today. If you go to the dry cleaner, and I asked you already, put it down below, then this serves millions of people throughout history. And I don't see the dry cleaners having Jennings on the product that they use to press our clothes out. So I definitely wanted to give him a shout out. I want to thank you all for joining me. As you know, all of my lectures are for entertainment and educational purposes only, and the Fair Act use is in my description. Also, I want to say, listen, y'all, this Friday, 8 o'clock p.m., tune in to Royal Black and Elite right here, Central Standard Time at 8, because we're going to air my first audiobook called Hunter's Point. I want to thank you all for your support. I hope that you tune in and enjoy it. And don't forget, y'all, hit that notification. Some people are telling me they're not getting notified when my videos come out. You definitely want to get notified because I drop some great knowledge. So I thank you all for joining me. Have a great day. And thank you for joining me for another great episode of Royal Black